today, is it wrong to eat the things that they say are an abomination? Well, let me tell you something. Do you think we still have the same flesh bodies today that they had then? I hope your answer is yes. I mean, we have to live in with many more poisons and pollutions besides abominable food. But what does Leviticus 11 say? It says you can partake of the foods that are not the animals, the flesh that is not scavenger. But if they're scavengers, you better not eat them. There's a reason for it. It's poison. A scavenger does not have the ability to throw off poisons as an animal that is a vegetarian, basically. And therefore, those poisons build up in the fat. Let's take as an example, and I know I get people on guilt trips for this, but be that as it may, let's take the swine. The swine has no sweat glands like you do. When you get sick, you have a fever pop, and bang, you just leak like a leaky hose, and poisons run out of your system, and pretty soon you're feeling better. Well, a porker can't do that. So the poisons build up in the fat. And you know what happens when you eat poison? Especially when it's laid there for the life of the animal, it'll make you sick. So it isn't a matter of sinning to death or anything like that. It's really whether you want to be sick or not. Now, many people not understanding our Father's Word would take, let's pull as an example 1 Timothy chapter 4. And they'll say, well, brother, 1 Timothy chapter 4 stipulates very clearly that you're not to let a man judge you of your food. Oh? Well, you see, as so many people do, they didn't read in chapter 4, verse 4, they didn't read verse 3. I hope I said that. I'll repeat myself. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 4. Go back to verse 3 and see what it says. Don't let a man judge you in marriage. And a lot of churches would say, well, yeah, that's unless you're a divorcee. It didn't say anything about that. It said, don't let a man judge you in marriage. You could only a deacon can only be a man of one wife. Now, that means he can't have two, and he can't have three all at the same time. Okay, I'm digressing from food. Let me retract back. I'm just saying law needs to be looked at by someone that is familiar with God's law. It stipulates in verse 3 that you are not to let a man judge you in meats that God created to be received. I want to say that again. To be received. Well, how do we know what he created to be received? Leviticus 11. All right? I think I've said enough on that. Don't be sick. God created these flesh bodies, and he knows what makes them healthy and well. We have to fight off enough sickness from air pollution and other things bad habits and so forth. But at least partake of foods that will not kill you. That's just like sitting down to a table and partaking of strychnine poison. Not quite that bad, but really that's what it gets to. Let me just ask you a question. And I don't think probably the medical community even realizes why they do this. But when you get real sick, what's the first thing they tell you don't eat? Think about it. Naturally, it's fat. That's why God said, don't eat the fat. It belongs to me. It was to protect you. All right. God is very intelligent. We need to follow what he says. But it's not a sin to death if someone eats those things. But it'll sure be to the death of your flesh at an early age, possibly. Gloria from California.